this man.
That's what I was just talking about. Look, him too. Her and him. They both have self-hatred up in their identity as white people. What is the problem with that? Look, it's one thing to be proud of it. I guess you don't gotta even be proud of being a specific race, whatever race you are. But actively hate yourself? To actively hate yourself, that is dangerous. That is terrible. And that's why we're up in the situation we're in now. Because white people hate themselves. A lot of them do. A lot of them hate themselves, so that's why we're up in this situation now. They need to fix this. Title of this video is What Are We Doing to White People? But what are white people doing to themselves also? Specifically liberal white people.
What we're doing to white people. There's been something going on for a while now that we're being told not to notice. More to the point, that we're asking white people not only to ignore, but to accept. The rising tide of racial hatred against white people. In the past decade, there has been a noticeable cultural shift in what constitutes acceptable speech as it relates to white people. Back when I was a kid, in the early 2000s, the mainstream American culture preached about respecting each other's differences and not seeing color. Nowadays, we say that not seeing color is racism, that you must see color. But the more I see how things are unfolding, the more I'm convinced that this is wrong. Back then, saying something offhanded about white people were seen as not appropriate, just as it would be to say something offhanded about people of any other race. But that soon gave way to our current times, in which there exists virtually no limit to what racial minorities can and do say about white people. I believe this is the natural outgrowth of a perverse ideology that teaches us that every societal ill, is the fault of white people, and that whatever prejudice acts we may inflict upon them does not constitute discrimination because we don't have the power to discriminate. And alarmingly, this is particularly pronounced in the younger generation. But is it true? Do we not have the power to discriminate? Well, let's see. First, let's take a look at the racial hatred at the interpersonal level. In today's society, it has become somewhat fashionable to think things and say things about and to white people that would not be acceptable if it was said about any other race. And we're being taught that this double standard is not wrong, that it is rather a form of empowerment. They'll attribute...
He is correct. That's exactly what I was saying at the beginning of the video. Why is it okay to make fun of white people now, but not black people and Asian people? Me personally, I think it's okay to make fun of everybody. But if we can't make fun of everybody, let's not make fun of white people either. How about that? If we got to use the same set of rules for every single race for it to be fair, for it to not be discriminatory. Let's get right back into it.
Negative experiences that they've had with white people to their whiteness. You had an argument in line at the grocery store with a white person. They were acting entitled because they were white. A white driver cut you off when you were driving. They need to check their white privilege. Your actions, your conduct, and your existence, in other words, boil down to your whiteness. And ashamedly, at one point in time, this was how I used to think as well. And beyond the people in my circle, I noticed that many people of color have this sort of blasé attitude, an attitude most particularly pronounced when there are no other white people around. Things are being said not just behind closed doors, but out in the open, not just between close friends, but between complete strangers. So here's the thing. This is something that I've experienced countless times, so I know that there are other people who are experiencing it too. I know it must resonate with at least some of you. The difficulty here is that no matter how many anecdotes I share, they are just that, anecdotes. And people who refuse to believe that this is happening will just chalk it up to my experiences being a fluke. Or worse yet, they'll say I'm lying. So I've compiled some TikTok videos. I want you to take a look at the things that are being said about...
Before he even plays the TikTok video, I just want to say, anybody that says that he's lying is being disingenuous. They know that they see it. If he's talking to black people or any other minority people, he knows that they probably are included up in the people that talk stuff about white people. Come on now. Come on.
About white people, especially by the younger generation, the kind of statements people wouldn't dare say about people of any other race. Take a look at what is stunningly in vogue in today's society and ask yourselves, where does this lead to years down the line?
You have a token white and you're hanging out with your friend group of color, you need to ask permission from everybody in the group to bring your white friend. Like, don't just bring them. I might not be in the mood to deal with white shenanigans that day. That's all I'm saying. And another thing, it feeds into their ego. Like, don't let them think they're a good white person.
Accomplices ask, how can they support Black and Indigenous people of color? And sometimes I really don't know what to say, but here's one easy way. Just don't have babies.
Women can single-handedly cause...
Okay. I gotta go to the big face for this one. Really? Just don't have babies. That was completely and utterly despicable. I don't understand how people can think that they can say this stuff and not sound trash. You sound like a garbage human being. You are telling a specific race of people not to have babies. You're basically telling them to commit genocide on themselves. Or what's the proper word for it? I forget. eugenics. I forgot exactly what it was called, but it was something. Euthanasia. I don't know. Maybe that. I think it was that. But still, like, you're basically telling them to commit genocide upon themselves. That is disgusting. That was pure racism at its finest.
The white genocide that they are so afraid of. With 2.25 billion Asian women and 500 million white men, baby, it'll only take 2 generations. In 2 generations, there will no longer be any blonde-haired.
These are some things I noticed about white American culture. Being grounded is a punishment to them. That's what they call punishment. The least grounded, least balanced, most destructive race considers being grounded a punishment? Yeah. They also say really violent phrases. They say things like, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Why do we have to kill the birds? Why is everything so violent? It's almost like one's language and phrases reflects one's nature.
Yo.
So that new Jeffrey Dahmer movie on Netflix is the perfect example of the sensationalization of white violence. People have a much easier time sympathizing with white criminals than they do with black victims. And people think these shows are harmless, but they actually contribute to a much bigger issue. It contributes to the viewpoint that white people are less violent than everyone else, and white violence is something to be consumed in media, and that's it.
What is with Caucasian people?
That was such a stupid point. People, including people of my race, people of every other race, loved the Jeffrey Dahmer documentary, even though I didn't even watch it. I think I watched like 1 episode. I'm like, it's not for me. Too many things that I don't agree with up in there. Clearly. But at the same time, it was such a stupid point that she just made that is contributing to like white violence being sensationalized and, you know, accepted. Violence in general is accepted. Action movies are accepted. You know what I always thought when I was a kid? And you tell me if you guys thought this too. Why is it that it's so okay for even the good guys and the bad guys, to just like, you know, have a little chase down the road or whatever, and all of the people that were just sitting there living their lives are just like destroyed in the process. Like their cars are destroyed. Sometimes they get killed. They have to like move out of the way. Oh, whoa, what the hell did he do? What did he do? These are innocent, regular human beings just trying to live their lives, and you guys are just like having a goddamn car chase around the whole entire city. Like what? Come on.
And like their inability to like read a fucking room. Like y'all act like you don't understand shit because y'all be the first ones during a conversation about the Holocaust to get so mad when black people be like, you do realize that the original Jewish people were black, right? White people do not need to explain to anybody about us all bleeding red because, baby, you all are the people that need to learn that lesson. Clearly, history shows that you all are the people that like to pillage and eradicate, enslave and oppress, attempt to suppress because you all simply don't have it. Right? Here go
people like her trigger me so goddamn much, and I don't understand why. I need to work on that. But at the same time, every single race of people, every single ethnic group pillaged and raped and they enslaved people. They did that. Raped. Let me say raped. Oh, I might have to cut that out. But still, they enslaved people. They pillaged people. Every single ethnic group did that. Not just white people. It just so happens that white people came up with a system that was just the best to do it. That's all it was. So they were more successful at it than other people. That was simply it. They went across the seas with it. You know, African people, they just stayed up in their continent and enslaved their own people. They never went to other parts of, you know, other continents to enslave their people. African people just stayed up in their own continent. That was the only difference. At least from what I read up on and everything, that was the only difference. Everybody did that. Everybody. So for her to just blame white people for that is just so ridiculous to me. Or more specifically, the European people. Let's say that.
Y'all cum goblins who don't even live in the fucking city. Which, by the way, the Q-tip people are the last ones to ever talk about somebody stealing anything. Y'all wouldn't be in this country had it not been for y'all stealing it. So y'all are more focused on people looting and trying to get necessities and things that they need. And yes, a TV is a fucking necessity. Thank you.
No.
You feel like you're better than because people are out here stealing and you would never. First of all, if you are a mayo monster, That is how your ancestors got everything, from stealing. People are.
And that's a behavior that's very
Okay, that was just racist. That was just plain a mayo monster. I never heard that before. That was just plain racism. That was disgusting right there. A mayo monster. Goddamn. If I was white people, I wouldn't take this. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have to protest. I have to stand up. I have to use that political power that you guys once had. I would have to regain that power back if I was you guys. I'm just saying, I wouldn't take that, if I was a white guy. Mayo monster? You're going to call me a mayo monster? And it's crazy because a lot of white people are on her side. That's really the problem right here. We say that, what we're doing to white people and all of this stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's bad. But a lot of white people condone this and they enforce it and they affirm it. That's the problem too. A lot of white people have self-hatred up in themselves these days because they're taught to have that by their white parents or specifically white liberal people. So let's keep going.
very common among white women. You may have not
Ew.
intended that, but there are many white women who act exactly like you.
If you could
God
find it
damn,
in your
shit
heart this
disgusting.
holiday season to donate to the Discriminated White Fund, you'd be helping millions.
Nothing says high protein like cicadas and cheese. Make sure you...
And nothing says caucasity like that right there.
What caucasity looks like. Roaming Asian grocery stores like it's an amusement park.
Explain to me why white people don't wear shoes outdoor, but wear shoes inside.
We are both white women. We are inherently a danger in spaces for Black, Indigenous, and other people of color simply by existing.
It's white cis men.
That's what I was just talking about. Look, him too. Her and him. They both have self-hatred up in their identity as white people. What is the problem with that? Look, it's one thing to be proud of it. I guess you don't got to even be proud of being a specific race, whatever race you are. But to actively hate yourself, that is dangerous. That is terrible. And that's why we're up in the situation we're in now. Because white people hate themselves. A lot of them do. A lot of them hate themselves. So that's why we're up in this situation now. They need to fix this. Because, like I said, it said the title of this video is "What Are We Doing to White People?" But what are white people doing to themselves also? Specifically liberal white people. We have to really talk about this. Let's have the conversation if we're going to have the conversation. It's not just necessarily minority people. It's also white people included up in this that are enforcing and affirming their behaviors. I'm telling you. I've seen it firsthand in real life.
Who are a part of the far right-winged ideology of fascism. That is a true threat and the terrorism to this country.
If BIPOC stand in the street and scream at the top of their lungs, "I hate all white people, I want all white people to go die, die white devil, you cracker bitch," that's still not racism.
You're not one of the good white people. Stop separating us from the bad white people. Don't sit out there in comments and say,
This
we
is
don't
what I
claim them.
was just
We are
saying.
that. We are the ones shooting up schools. We are the ones raping people, the ones enslaving people.
And I'll say it. I hate being white.
I just called this like a couple of minutes ago. This is what I have observed in reality, and I'm glad he is showing this. This is not a good thing. I'm telling you, if this didn't happen, I'm telling you right now, if this did not happen, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to excuse minority behavior at all, what they're doing. But if this did not happen, I promise you, if all white people were on the same page, say, hey, we are not going to be disrespected as a race like every other race is like that, just not white people for some weird reason, we can definitely get back to society to where it could be more homogenous in culture and everything like that, because white people are the majority culture. Let's not get that misconstrued, which is actually a good thing because it has core values that they are the majority culture. So come on.
Which means I'm one of the good ones.
All white people are inherently racist.
Yeah.
Can you be racist against white people?
Based off of the definition of racism, yes, but it's not gonna hurt them and hurt their opportunities like it does people of color.
While technically you can, it's not like an issue.
You can't oppress the oppressor.
It helps you sleep at night. I'm racist to white people and I'm proud of it.
Why do people not understand that you can't be racist to white people? It's impossible. The system is not set up that way. You can insult white people, but it is not racism. Me calling a white person a tub of mayonnaise and a flower-looking ass, that's not racism.
You went all the way to Africa to physically take black people from their homes, shove them in on boats where a lot of them got diseases and died, told them where they could sit on a bus, told them which schools they could go to, which water fountains they could use, which bathrooms they could use, and that's sugarcoating it. Those are just terms. I'm not even describing all the disgusting things that happen, and they don't even want revenge They are letting you guys skate by asking for equal rights? That's it? And you're still saying no?
She is a goddamn panderer. Oh my goodness. I hate people like this. A panderer? That's one of the worst things that you can be. A panderer. Second off, she said that black people are letting white people off the hook. Let's not forget that black people are indeed the minority in this country, and there's only so much that white people are going to take before they actually, do what they got to do. 13%. That's all we are, is 13% of the population. So let's not say that we're letting them do anything. Everything that we're doing right now is we're asking the political system to give, people of color these reparations and all that, which I don't even agree with, because I believe that personally, if you were subjugated as a ethnic group, it was simply because you were weak and you were taken over, and nobody that is weak and taken over can ever have the right to ask for anything in return. And that includes white people that were taken over by other white people. That includes black people that were taken over by other black people. You do not have the right to ask for any type of reparations because you just simply were weaker as a nation, as a country. And that was it.
They are not as angry as they should be. Y'all are getting off easy and you're still saying no? Fuck you.
Some people look at that and chalk it up to the grumblings of the powerless. That's the idea that when you have a power disparity, the less powerful sort of has this general society given leeway to complain about the more powerful. The villagers complaining about their king doesn't have the same ring as the king making snide and crude comments about the villagers. But that's not what's going on here. Because although certain segments of our society refuse to believe this, even as evidence mount before our very eyes, in one side of the political aisle, people of color actually have greater power than white people. That is the truth that is not being acknowledged by the people that need to hear it, because this gets in the way of them wielding that power in the way they want, malignantly. I've heard from somewhere that politics is downstream of culture, and I think that is certainly correct.
Yep.
We have a mainstream culture that tells us it's okay to hold prejudice and hateful view of white people, and our politics is then infused with this energy, and we see active, overt, and on the books racial discrimination of white people that those who are perpetuating this hatred is refusing to see as discrimination. They'll say, no, this is remediation. These are the same people who are making tenuous arguments that some of our race-neutral laws discriminate against people of color. And this is certainly evidence that in one side of the political aisle, people of color have more power than white people. Because if we...
I actually agree with him, except for one thing. He said only on one side of the political aisle, people have, people of color have more power than white people. I think that both sides of the aisle, people of color have more power than white people, because I think that Republicans have been permeated and taken over by the Democratic Party, if I'm just being honest with you. From all of the stuff that I see, it seems that they're both a part of the same exact, I don't know, what would I call it? Bureaucratic apparatus, honestly. That's what I would call it. It's like this apparatus of bureaucracy that's just being taken over. That's all it is. It's all just the same exact stuff now. Republicans don't have any morals. They don't have any ethics anymore. Now, if you're conservative, don't get it twisted. I am very much conservative by nature. If you're a conservative in your beliefs and everything like that, I respect you. But in terms of the Republican Party, who is in power right now, who's in the Senate and all this, no, they're not it.
If we didn't have the power, we wouldn't be able to put into place practices and policies that does this. That's what power is. Things like Minneapolis local government agreeing to a contract with the teachers union that says white teachers must be fired first. New York City's government enacting a policy of having white seniors go to the back of the line on life-saving COVID treatment. A college professor that says white people should be killed and facing no repercussions. Cornell University banning white people from rock climbing lessons. One of many instances of liberal colleges doing the utmost to exclude and ostracize white students. BIPOC only events equal no whites, but they don't have the guts to say that, even though that is what that is. That's what makes this different than the mere grumblings of the common villager. The villagers have surrounded the palace, demanding Marie Antoinette's head. The power dynamics have shifted. That is a fact. Progressive media outlets do not cover these stories. Some people out there have...
That's crazy. So they're passing actual laws and things in place to exclude white people from things. We just watched a video on Piers Morgan's show where some type of Black Lives Matter activist or whoever the hell she was for some type of thing that just happened to where it was like a whites only for like a movie that was just coming out, like some type of movie that was just coming out, and it was just not whites only, it was whites excluded and every other minority only. Just minorities only, and then whites were excluded from this movie screening, which I thought was completely racist. Same thing right here. Now, with that being said, this video has about 7 more minutes left. I would say watch this video, the rest of it on your own, because I don't want to just, watch the whole entire thing. Watch it on your own. See what you guys think about it. This guy is pretty smart. He's very educated. He put together this video. It's very nice. With that being said, my name is J Dotty. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Peace.